Hi, I'm Mike Hudson, Director of the Museum of the American Printing House for the Blind. Today is another one in our occasional series of museum how-tos. Today, and actually this month and next month, we're going to be talking about how to mat a print. And so you might mat a print because you're going to put it on display, but you might also mat a print because for preservation purposes. And that's what we're going to be working on today. We have this Kindergarten for the Blind print in raised letters, probably done at the Perkins School for the Blind around 1882. That's about the time that they opened their kindergarten. And it's very fragile and it's embossed, and so we don't want any weight on it that's going to flatten out the embossing, and it's also very fragile, so we want to protect it. So we're going to mat it. So that's going to happen in two steps. This month we're going to show you how to hinge a print. The hinge is what holds it into the mat. Now when you have a picture at home or a print at home and you want to mat it, you might just take tape and tape it in there. Of course, we don't want to do that because adhesive tape is going to leave a permanent mark and cause damage to the artifacts. We want to do it in an archival way, a way that's reversible, so that if we had to undo it, we could undo it without any harm to the artifact. Okay, so let's look at our materials. So first, we've got a few simple tools. We've got a pair of tweezers. We've got a brush, nice short flat end bristle brush. We've got a little distilled water in a cup. Very important, distilled water, not tap water. We want water that has no contaminants, no minerals, just pure water. We've got our gummed Japanese hinging paper. Now, hinges for hinging are made out of Japanese paper, it's a thin tissue paper. You can buy it in all kinds of thicknesses, and you can use homemade wheat paste to glue it onto your, to adhere it to your print, but we find it easier just to use this gummed Japanese hinging paper that we get from an archival company. Then we've got our blotter board. You can buy these in big sheets and then you cut it down into little pieces so that you can use them. We have a stack of that here. We've got some mylar. That's just a clear polyester sheeting. Again, you buy it in big sheets and then you cut it down into little pieces you can use. And then we've got Remay, R-E-M-A-Y. Remay is a thin spun fiber tissue that lets air go in and out of it, and water. So you'll see how we use that here in a little bit. And then we've got a stack of weights. These are just little weights you get, and they come in a little sock bag, and they've got beads like ball bearings on the inside, nice soft, smooth. And then we've also got some just some steel bars that we use. So first off, we want to turn our print over so that we can adhere the tissue, the hinges to it. Now our print is kind of fragile. Now notice I'm not wearing gloves. If you've been watching any of these videos, you notice that usually when I handle things I wear gloves, but when I'm dealing with paper, it's very fragile. I want to make sure I've got good tactile feel for it, and so I'm going to wash my hands frequently while I'm working with paper. So all I'm going to do here is just lift up the edge of the print. I'm going to put a folder underneath it so that it's supported. That's going to allow me to turn it over without stressing any weak parts that might be on it. Now we're going to take our Japanese paper. We're going to tear off a piece, about, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches long. I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to wet it in my distilled water, and I'm going to run a line across the edge of the paper. And what that's going to do is it's just going to weaken it so that I can easily tear it. And I do it that way so that I get a nice ragged edge. I want that nice ragged edge because that's going to help my hinge adhere to my print better. So I'm going to need 2 of those. And if I were doing a bunch of hinging, I would do all these way in advance. So I just paint some water across there, and again, it just tears nice and neat and gives me a nice ragged edge. Now I'm going to take my mylar, and it's going to just protect my hinge. Well, I'm going to turn it over to the adhesive side. That's the side that's got some some paste already on there, and I'm going to put a really thin coat of water on there, okay, like so. I don't want it very wet at all. I want it pretty dry because I don't want to cause any acid that's already in the paper to run or create a tide mark or anything like that. So I can kind of take my hinge, I can dry it off a little bit there. And then I'm going to take it, I'm going to put the line, just the wetted part, onto my print. And I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to brush it down. Nice and neat, like so. I'm going to get all the air bubbles out. I'm going to make sure it's nice and adhered smoothly to my print. Okay, then I'm going to take my Rime. I'm going to put that down on top of my hinge that I've just wetted. I'm going to put a piece of blotter on it, and I'm going to put some weights on there. Okay. Now I'm ready to go to my second hinge. Again, I'm going to turn it over to the pasted side. I'm going to put just a thin coat of water on there. And I'm going to take my blotter. I'm just going to blot it a bit so that it's not very dry. So that it is pretty dry. I don't want it too wet. And then I'm going to lay it down gently on my print, and I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to brush it all out. Right? So it's nice and smooth. And I'm going to take my Rime, put it down. I'm going to put down my blotter. I'm going to put a couple of weights on it. Now, what I want to do is I want to give this about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to lift everything back up, and I'm going to put a fresh piece of Rime down and a fresh piece of blotter and put my weights back down there. About 10 minutes after that, I'm going to do it again, and then I'm going to let it sit and dry for about an hour. Now my hinges are dry, my hinges are attached to my print, and I'm ready to go to the next step, which is to cut my mat, and we're going to do that next month.